Okay, welcome back to the second part of texturing the stylized weapon in Substance Painter. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. There's a couple things I want to cover today. So let's continue. I'm going to start working on some edge wear for the barrel. Um, there's one thing I want to show you guys. Using these masks make the weapon look a little bit procedurally generated. So there is a way to add, a little bit more damage, a little bit unique damage, in a sense that it it looks the same on both sides, right? So obviously there are sides that'll be more worn out than the other side. So just to give it a little bit more of a variety. So I want to come here to my brushes and I'm gonna click this dirt. I know edgeware is not really dirt, but it does give the same look as an edgeware. So by clicking the dirt, come here and click in the paint layer. I'm just going to come here. I'm going to make sure that I'm on white. And I'm just going to add a little bit of more edgeware on areas where I think should have a little bit more edgeware. I do have this paint bleeding onto here, so I do want to take that away as well. I'll take that away as soon as I'm done adding a little bit more detail here. Something like that. Maybe a little bit of this. I do have an issue there that I'm going to fix. Right there. Okay, not too much. Just a little bit more of a variety. Sometimes less is more. Okay, so let's go back to the poly grab. Make sure I'm on faces, and I'm just going to take this off. Click the faces. Remember to always rotate just to make sure that everything is right. Right here, that's done. Okay, so moving forward, I need to fix this. I believe it is this layer that is doing it. Yeah, it is. I just gotta change that to black. Okay. All right. Good. Good, 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 good. Okay, so that's the black layer. I want to grab that, copy, close this off, paste the layer. I'm going to grab a lighter color, lighter metal. Okay. I am going to add a height to this, and I'll show you exactly why I'm going to do that. So let's go to Smart Masks. I want to get something, maybe edge scratch. That might be good. Let's throw that over it. It is going to apply it to the entire mesh. We are going to have to add another paint layer and allocate where we want this mask to affect. But right now I want to play around with it. I don't even know if I'm actually happy with this. Let's try to bring this edge wear down a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Lower the grunge. Yeah, see, so I don't really like that, so let's get rid of this. Maybe edge strong. Nope, I don't like that either. Edge strong scratched, add dusty. This could be interesting. Let's try that. Let's get that level. Okay, that's actually a little bit better. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so I'm going to show you why I'm going to add a little bit of height to this. The reason is that I want people to think that this is painted and there's some wear and chipping happening. So I'm going to go ahead and just lower this to around that. Now you can see that it's a little bit heavy on the eyes, okay? And the reason is that, well, it has to do with pixel density, the height, it's not really clear. So what I like to do is come to here, this layer stack, switch it to height, and I just want to lower this to get a little bit less denser of a height. Okay, that should be good. I'm happy with that. So again, I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a paint layer. Paint layer needs to be over the mask. I'm going to come grab the poly grab And I'm just going to click the things that I don't want it to affect. Again, if you if you have a complicated object like this that's attached and you want two different colors on it, if I click this, it's gone. If I come back and switch it to white, it won't apply that mask to it. So what you want to do is leave it the way it is and grab the sides that you don't want it to affect. Okay, so something like that. Yeah, so again, we're going to use that same technique. Grab that brush and we're going to use it in a different way. I'm going to switch this to black because I do want a little bit of this edge wear, but it's just too much, right? So let's just start painting this detail out. I want just a little bit to affect it. I don't want too much because I have the other detail. Okay, something like that is way too much. I actually like this chunk right here, so I'm gonna paint this out. Okay, make my brush a little smaller. If you don't know how I'm making my brush smaller, I'm holding control and I'm holding right click. And what I'm doing is, so up and down will rotate it. Holding the right click up and down will change the opacity. Going left and right will change the size. Okay. Substance Painter does have good documentation on their shortcuts. And believe me, learning it and taking your time to learn it will benefit you in the long run. So something like that. I don't want it to affect the piping. The piping is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to take that off. This, and okay. So another one of those issues that if I click this, it's going to affect that. So switch it to this. Make sure it's on black mask. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. Get rid of that. Okay. Get rid of this. I think I want to add some type of cloth material to the middle of this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to set myself up and I'm going to just take this part out. I want to keep the edge off because I want it to look like it's still metal around it. Again, I don't like the amount, and that's part of the procedurally generated issues. Okay, moving on. It's a little bit heavy here. Paint that out. Paint that out as well. I don't like this up here. I want to get rid of, I just want to lighten it up just a little bit. All right. Get rid of that. That's a little heavy too. It's a little heavy there on the side. Okay, so I think we got a pretty decent balance. I mean, depending on how much you want it to look like it's worn out, then that's fine as well. The color could go a little bit darker, so I'm just going to grab this and bring that down. Okay, there's one thing I've learned is that a lot of people, when they begin texturing, they really want to show prominence to detail. In a sense that like they would want this to be like that so you can really see the damage. That's okay if that's the look you're going for. You don't always need to do that. I mean, sometimes less is more in a sense. Just naturally seeing like humans can notice detail by peripheral vision. It's just a known thing, right? So like if something's in your peripherals, you can see those little details and it makes a much bigger picture. So having said that, let's keep going. Okay, so we've got a good little workflow going here. I also want to show you how to stamp normals. This technique is a very powerful technique in Substance. Having said that, they do have a stock folder here called hard surfaces. When I was in school learning texturing, my teacher told me that most people, professional artists that are looking, let's say you're looking for a job, you make a portfolio piece and you use the stock stuff that Substance gives you. It is good. Do not get me wrong. But everybody uses it. There's no uniqueness to it. And there are ways to bake out your own normals to come out as a PNG. You can bring them in. I'm going to show you how to create alphas. I'm going to show you how to create a normal. But I want to show you just how people may use this powerful tool in Substance. So I made a blank layer. I'm going to come over to the right. I'm going to get rid of my alpha. Okay. I want nothing there. Just want this square. I'm going to take off color, metal, roughness, height, and it's just going to be this normal layer. Going to hard surface, you could choose any one you want. I'm going to choose handle circle. Okay, let's say I wanted to use this. I'm going to go ahead, grab that, and drag it into this layer. So once you have that done, go over to the area that you want to stamp it, give it a click. That's it. Very easy. As you can see, I modeled some bolts in here, and they don't look as crisp when you really zoom into it. People look at him like, oh my god, the resolution's terrible, but from far away, looks fantastic, right? So you have something that's a little bit more prominent than this, and you can see there is some jagged edges happening here. Let's grab another one. I want to rotate it, give it a pop there. I'm not going to keep that. There's jaggedness to it too, and that's also part of the UVs. Switching it to the UVs, you can see that it's not really a straight UV. Okay, so because of that, it's going to have some jaggedness to it. So there's a few ways you could fix that. You can kind of hide it. You can move forward from it. You might not even want to put that there. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of this prominent darkness around it, and it's very simple. Come here, switch to normal, lower it just a little bit. Okay, and it works. That's a good way to do it. There's also another way you can do it. You can add a filter right here and go to, I believe it's called clamp. Okay, the clamp pretty much works the same way. Make the minimum, play around with the slider a little bit. Doesn't really work as good as just hiding the layer stack. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that. I don't even think I'm going to use this piece. Let's get rid of that. Let's just do something very simple. Something like this. Okay, scale it up. Make sure my angle is flat, and I'm just going to stamp that. Okay, looks good. I'm going to come here, stamp that. Okay, lower this down a little bit. There you go. I'm happy with that. I'm going to keep that. Yeah, so that's one technique to add detail without having to model it. Substance comes with this library of things. So I want to show you something else that could go wrong with this and why this is kind of capped off. You can see I modeled in this panel here. Okay, let's get rid of that edge dirt so you can see it. I modeled this panel in. It works perfectly. Okay, it's very flush. The bake is perfect. If I were to try to stamp a detail like this and I wanted it to wrap around the side, let's say I do this, okay? Perfect. Okay? Substance will do a decent job if it's flat. If I want something on an angle and I come here and I'll stamp it, it's going to screw it up. So use this technique at your own will, but also don't try to come here and then make another straight line. It's not going to look good. Just as flat out as it just doesn't look good. Okay. So there are benefits to this, smaller details. Like if I wanted, another little bolt here. Okay. Let's go like that. Something like that. Even something like this might even work there. Okay. Something like that, right? So it's minuscule details, small details. You don't want to overkill it. You could just keep stamping this if you want, but sometimes less is more. So having said that, I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to keep that. There's also another technique you can use using this method. Let's make sure that this is there like that. Okay, I'm just turning my phone down. Okay, so grabbing this vent here, I'm gonna stamp, stamp, stamp. Nope, nope, and okay. Okay, so you got a vent like that. It looks like a detail, but you want it to be a vent. Okay. There's two ways you can do this. Okay. You can add another layer. Take off the normal, just put color, roughness, and metal. The reason why I'm adding metal is because I want it to be very dark. Okay, so I'm going to slide that all the way up to 1. I'm going to slide this all the way up to 1. I'm going to change this to the darkest color you can make. I'm going to come and grab a brush, and I'm just going to do soft, lower my brush, and I'm just going to come here, click once, hold shift, and go across. Okay, there we go. There we go. And there we go. So you got a vent now. And now it actually looks like there's a hole in the frame. If you're finding that it might be a little bit dark, again, come to the base, lower it down, something like that. Okay, I'm going to keep this because I actually like this. Again, make sure you name your layers as well. You don't want to get lost. So this is normal, stamps, black, vent. Okay, good. There are ways to add the mask and edgeware to this detail, and those are called anchor points. I am not going to get into it because it could get a little bit complicated. You can add a little bit of detail to this by painting it in. So let's, we can go back here, grab this dirt again, lower it down, just add a little bit of depth to that. Give it that illusion that it's part of the mesh, something like that. I mean, from far away, guys, that looks fantastic. Okay. So I am noticing that, if you can tell, I always zoom out to see how it's going to look. Okay. The reason why I want to do that is because the player's not going to look at this model like this in the game. Okay. They're more likely going to look something like that. If this is used for first person, something like that. Third person, it'll be something more like that. Okay. I'm noticing that this is too much. So I want to go back to that layer, and I want to paint this out again. I want to get rid of that. That's too much. Okay. Even here, get rid of all that gunk down there. Okay, pretty good. I don't think I'm going to keep this damage on this part here. This part's okay. Just some damage is fine. That's too prominent again. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Definitely don't want it on the handle. Okay. So, good. Let's move to the pipes. So I want to come back down here, duplicate this by pressing Control and D, drag this up to the top, close this folder, make this a little lighter, even could add a little bit of higher of a roughness value to it. Okay, let's go back to smart masks. I want maybe stain scratch. Let's see how that looks. I'm just looking at the pipes. I'm not looking at the actual frame of it. I don't even think I really like the color from the beginning. So let's choose another color. Let's go to Google. Let's type in copper pipe. Okay. I'm going to dock that off to the side. All right. Grab this here. Much better. Just like that. So if you don't know how I did that, you literally just click here, click the eyedrop tool, and that's it. Very simple. Using colors off reference images are amazing. And it works like very well. There's also something that I need to add here. So you can tell that this is just a flat color. There's no pop to it. There's no detail to it. I don't want that. I want people to notice that this is a copper pipe. So let's go to procedural here. Okay. I want to type in metal. Okay. Let's see. Now, going back to this reference, you can tell that there are some anomalies inside of a metal. There's no such thing as just a flat, smooth metal. If there is, I've never seen it. There's always some type of surface detail to it. Okay, so we could add something like this to the roughness. Nope, sorry, something like this to the roughness. And we're going to change this to triplanar. Okay, and maybe just kind of scale it up. Now, having said this, I personally don't think this looks good because it's not what I'm aiming for. But adding a procedurally generated roughness can go a long way. So there's actually another one that Substance comes with, and it's called Scratch, I believe. Grunge Scratch. Yeah, let's try this one. Okay, zoom in a little bit. It's not as prominent as you think, but it's there. And this goes back to me telling you about the peripheral vision of somebody. So I can already tell that this was way too high. So I want to put this maybe at 2. Okay, and I want to lower the balance. There we go. So I'm happy with that. That's pretty good. Can actually maybe lift that a little bit. Okay, good. I'm happy. That's good. I also am happy with the color. So I'm going to duplicate this again. I'm going to slide this up. Bring this down. I want to add a little bit lighter of a color to it. And the reason for that is that we're going to go back to Smart Masks, and I'm going to add, let's try this Cavity Rust. All right, not bad. Let's add the paint layer. Choose what we want. Get rid of that. I don't want any of this to be affected. I don't want that to be affected. I don't want this, or that's okay because we have some copper there. I don't want it to affect that. This I might actually paint out a little bit. I don't want it to affect this. I don't want it to affect that. I don't want it to affect this. So it's just pre-planning what you want it to affect. Switch over. I don't want it to affect this piece. Okay. Good. I might do this darker instead of lighter. Yeah, that's better actually because it is a grunge map. Okay. Usually grunge likes to find its spot in little holes like this. Even changing the balance of the roughness. Okay, that kind of looked a little bit weird. Something like that, like full-blown roughness. Like Rust has a very strong... Rust eats light, right? Something like that. It eats it, right? So is this a rusted weapon? Is there damage? Is it old? I also want to get rid of this. I don't want it to affect I don't want it to affect the handle either. I'm going to put some type of cloth material there. So something like that, that looks pretty good. Like, I'm happy with this. It does look like rust. That is good enough. There's also other things you could add. For instance, going to materials, I have, well, I don't want it to be a Chesterfield. I think I have a wire. Nope. Let's see. Let's go down. Plastic cable braided. Let's say you wanted to add something like this. Throw it over. Focus on the area that you want it to affect. Let's do triplanar. And it changes to maybe 10. Let's change it back to UV. Put this at 5. See, so I don't really like what this is doing. Let's try something else. Let's see what else I can show you. Okay, let's just keep that. I'm going to add a black mask. Something like that. If you don't want it to be a copper pipe, it could be whatever. It could be whatever you want. Substance is, again, like I said, an incredible program. They have a resource center where you can basically take materials and build off of them, which is super powerful. So like if I wanted to come here, wire, you type in wire, there's all kinds of stuff here. These are barbed wire, what's this? Stylized. Taking a little bit to load. Plastic. Let's go to plastic. Let's see. Like there's all kinds of stuff, like just amazing things on here that you could just really build off of and make it your own. Having said that, yes, these are other people's work. If you want to show your work, then you really need to learn the nitty-gritty. You need to learn how things are made. You need to learn how you can make things different. You need to learn how procedurally generated stuff can affect your world. Like something like this. You can see that most of the roughness is in the inside of the pipe than the outside. The reason why it's doing that is because it reads the normals of it. Okay? So on the outside, there'll be so much surface activity on the outside that the inside the rust won't be chipped away, the rust won't be affected there. It's growing inside an area where the rust can be safe. So something like that goes a long way. Having said that, even if you wanted to add a little bit of grunge on here too, you can do it in the paint layer, right? You can add the height to it, something like that. Okay. Yeah, you can add the height. I don't want to add height because it's just overkill. We could maybe add it and just kind of lower it down a little bit. Give it that depth. Good. Okay. Good. So, moving on. Let's keep going. The pipes are done. Pretty happy with the pipes. So let's bring up that reference art again. So we got some paint here. They got some details with paint. Okay. There's a couple ways you can do this. Actually, you know what? Let me finish this handle. I have, maybe we can make it a leather. Some elephant skin might be nice. Oh, also, I just saw something pop up. Always save your work. Always save your work. Whether it's in Max, whether it's in Blender, whether it's in Maya, it does not matter. You need to learn how to save your work. Okay. So, let's do this. I'm going to use this elephant skin. Okay. Pretty good. As you can see, there is parameters here that I want to work with. The elephant skin in particular is extremely the parameters are just like you can do whatever you want with this. It could look like a completely different layer. A completely different material from when you default throw it in. I don't know if I actually like the elephant skin though. I might just go with leather. Right, yeah, this should be good. Okay, let's black mask it, apply it. Color is kind of poop, like literally. So I want to change that to maybe like a darker green. Doesn't really match. Let's check the reference art. It's black. I don't want to keep it black, but we could do maybe like I don't even like that. Let's keep it black. Let's keep it simple. Okay. I need it to tile just a little bit more, so I'm going to pop that to maybe a 3. And I also want to apply that to this piece. Okay. As you can tell, this is one full piece. I want to get rid of that. Okay, let's do that. I don't want it to affect this piece either. That's a metal piece. Good, good, good. Pretty good. I'm happy. This is good. Okay, so going back to this reference, we got some paint here. So what I want to do is I'm going to add a fill layer. I am going to dock my stuff. I'm going to grab that photo of wherever it is. Pull that over to the side. And I'm just going to zoom in. And I'm going to grab... See, so you can tell it's going green, but it's clearly yellow, right? So that's not really a good spot to grab that color. Maybe something here is better to grab the color. So that's pretty good. I'm going to change the roughness up. I want a little bit of a gloss to it. I use a fill layer. You can use, let's see, type in paint. Maybe we can use a matte paint. Okay, grab that. I'm just going to grab this. There we go. I want to delete that. The height, I believe its height on this is insanely high. I don't want that. I could even drop the normal a little bit too. Okay, add the black mask. So, multiple ways of doing this. Number one, if my symmetry was set up properly, I could have painted it on symmetry. Okay, I'm not going to do symmetry. I'm actually going to show you 2D painting. Okay, so here are my UVs. Where is that piece? Where is that piece? This is it. Okay, so let us grab a basic brush. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint this. I want it a little bit bigger, so I'm going to just hold shift and I'm going to do some clicking. And the reason why I'm holding shift is because I need it to be straight and I also need to follow the UVs. So I'm using my normal as a guideline. Okay. So something like that might look good. This UV isn't straight. So, I mean, I could go like this and I'll show you the difference. I can go like this. Yes, to me, it looks straight there. When I come back to my 3D view, it's kind of wobbly. Okay, you can even see here. It's wobbly. I missed the line. Okay. You can't really tell, but this is on a 45. This is straight. Okay. So having said that, let's delete that. Let's go back to 2D view. This photo has one line there. I'm going to just add a little bit more of my own detail. So I want to make this bigger because I'm noticing that it's too small. Pop that up there. Click in the same spot you left off. And just kind of keep filling this out. Okay. There we go. So now what I want to do is I'm making my brush a lot smaller. And I'm just going to kind of trace it Click. So there's one technique I can show you here. What Substance does is wherever you click, your mouse will stay. Okay. In order to use the shift function, you need to stay in that same spot. So if you go over here, you're not going to really find that exact same spot. So what you want to do is just try to keep it where it is. Click, maybe there, hold the middle mouse button and Alt, being in the same spot. Substance will keep you in the same thing. Just click and shift. Okay. Same thing again. So let's say that I didn't do this and I didn't click in the same spot. Watch where the shift is telling me my mouse is. That's not where my mouse is. So you do need to initiate the original click to start it off. I'm going to do it again here. I want to make sure that I'm mostly pretty close to where I want this line to be. Okay, like that, like that. I went off there a little bit, spacing wise. Let's pull that there and click again and pull that down there. So let's go back to 3D. Let's see how it looks. Happy, pretty good, pretty good. What's next? Okay, so I also want to add this part here. So what we're going to do is just, I want to paint that in. I'm just going to mark it so I know where they are. And I'm going to switch to 2D. Look for my markings. Paint that in. To wherever at least I think it is. Okay. If I did it right, yeah. If I did it right, it should bleed in to the other side. Okay. I want this to be a plastic too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this layering. I'm going to switch from white to black. And I'm going to paint over this spot. I don't want that leather to show where the plastic is. Okay. So again, you can see it a little bit better here. It should be getting rid of it fully. I don't know if that is the material of this. Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Something like that. I don't want grain intensity, and I want this roughness to be low because I want that paint to really shine. So, switching my brush back, I'm going to continue to fill this in. Okay, like that. I mean, you could even add something like this. See, so I kind of made a mistake there. It's better to keep it as one fluid click. Okay. Again. And one last line. Let's do it from this side. Click it around and boom. I might be able to grab something here. Okay, so these are the two pieces that I need to add. So I'm going to try to just show you something. If you start painting here, it's going to give you a little bit of a reference to where it needs to connect. Okay, so let's do the shift line. I don't like the thickness of it, so I want to make it a little bit bigger. Shift line, boom, click, 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 and click. Okay, there and there. Didn't really bleed through there, and that's because I didn't get right over it. There we go. I'm gonna just, there we go. So there's my reference points. Okay. Again, if you had symmetry, believe me, it would be 10 times easier. I'm just trying to show you sometimes symmetry painting doesn't always work. So there we go. Pretty good. let's go back to 3D and let's see how that looks. So this, I'm not too happy with. I went a little bit too high. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this completely. I'm gonna redo that properly. I was just trying to show you what you could do in that 2D. Okay, so moving forward, I do see some issues here. That's topology. That means that I didn't really have enough topology to support the bend from the high poly. So there's two ways you can do this. You can kind of just exit that out. Okay. Go back to that brush. It's a little bit too big. Okay. Pretty good. There we go. And there we go. So that should have fixed it. It did. And I'm happy. All right. So if you wanted a little bit more of a unique detail and you didn't want to use something in here, I'm going to show you how to make an alpha quickly. And this is a very fast and efficient way of doing this. So what you want to do is go to Photoshop, paint, whatever you have, make a black background, new layer, switch it to white. Let's make this shape here, paint bucket it, and then I want to go to distort. Let's say I wanted something like that, and then we can duplicate it, flip vertical, bring it down. Okay, grab another box, fill that. Okay, grab this with the magic wand. Just make sure everything is uniform. So I want it to line up there and there. Okay, even adding something like this with an eraser, right? Let's merge these two together so I can affect them. Get rid of that. Something like that and like that. All right, let's say you just made something like this, okay? This is a great alpha. I'm going to come here, export it. You don't have to export it. It could be a JPEG. It could be a PNG. It could be whatever you want. PNGs are relevant because there is a black background to it. So save it out. Let's call this decal 1. Minimize this. Come back to your file. Give Photoshop a second to export it. Where is it? Did I do it? Is it still exporting? Stylized flamethrower decal. Where is it? Oh, excuse me. It is in final. No, it isn't. Where did that? Parts? No. That's interesting. Let's try that again. Save as. Let's do it as a JPEG this time. Throw it into stylized weapon. Decal _1. Okay. Minimize. There it is. Okay. So drag it. Minimize this. You'll be prompted with this screen. So don't worry about what this is. Worry about what this is. You want to tell Substance what you want this to be. So I want this to be an alpha. I'm going to go here. You have options of putting it in your current session without it being saved. You have the option of only importing it into this saved session, or you could add it to your shelf. I'm going to add it to my shelf because there's nothing wrong with having a variety of different decals. Okay. So import. There you go. Go on your mask. Make sure you're on paint. Double click this and look what's here. Okay. So if I wanted this to be paint, I could just go like that. There you go. Great way of doing it. There's also different ways that you can make this look a little bit better as well. Adding that paint layer. Okay. Let's go to brushes again, the famous dirt brush. And if I want it to look a little bit worn out, I can do this. There you go. So it works with the rest of the textures. It works with the damage. A decal, a decal like this, if there's edge damage here, most likely there's going to be damage here. So even something a little bit more, something like that, get rid of this corner here, break it down. It goes a long, long way. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to end this tutorial now. There's nothing you can do really wrong in this. Try to experiment, use some techniques that I showed you. You don't have to follow everything I'm showing you, but there's no such thing as a wrong thing. Okay, something might look weird, but there are ways to fix it. So capping yourself, saying that, oh, I don't know how to do this and it doesn't look right, that's just an excuse. You can try it. Trying is everything, and then if you don't try it, then you never know. So thanks for watching, and take care.